I want to give a lot of credit to my colleague, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. So the two of us were the ranking and chairman of the Environment and Public Works Committee that had jurisdiction over waterways and wildlife. And Senator Whitehouse came to me early on in the Congress last year and said, hey, you know, this is an issue that's really important to Rhode Island. It's really important to Alaska. How about we start to work on it together? So, you know, you hear about, hey, bipartisanship is not working in the Senate. Well, this is a great example where it was. We ended up agreeing to holding a hearing where we both invited witnesses, some from Alaska, some from all over the country. And that was the beginning. We got a lot of good ideas in the hearing. And of course, I've heard from a lot of Alaskans on this, Gulf of Alaska keepers, the Sitka Sound Science Center is also very interested. And so that was really the beginning. So I want to thank Sheldon Whitehouse for, I give him a lot of credit on the origins of the idea. And then now we're working together. Got a great, very strong bipartisan bill. I think we're going to see a lot of action in this Congress on it.
It really goes back to Dan's decision to hold the hearing in the first place. He didn't have to do that. He's the chairman on the subcommittee. And so, you know, that was kind of the breakthrough moment. And then what happened that was really great was that everybody who showed up for the hearing, both Republican side and Democrat side, all had nice things to say about the issue and the importance of getting stuff done. Very often, the Environment and Public Works Committee has a divide right down the middle on environmental issues. This I consider an environmental issue, and it brought everyone together, including the last chairman, Senator Inhofe, which came as a bit of a surprise to me anyway.
Right, he's one of our co-sponsors.
Yeah, so it's been good.
And if you're from a state that has any kind of coastline, you know, this is obviously very important. But we have co-sponsors on this bill that from senators who are from landlocked states. So it's really pretty much anyone who cares about the oceans, because this is a big threat, and we have the power, I think, to do something important to address it. Well, look, there's three parts to the bill. First, we're reauthorizing NOAA's program, marine debris program. And right now, I'm also chairing the subcommittee on the Commerce Committee that has oversight of NOAA and fisheries and the oceans. So we're in a good position to focus on that. It also has a provision more specifically for states that allows the Secretary of Commerce to take requests from state governors to issue disaster declarations and additional funding for states that might be hit by some kind of major marine debris challenge. You know, obviously the Fukushima disaster in Japan is a good example. And then the third part, and perhaps most important from my perspective, is our engagement with the executive branch, a sense of the Congress that this is a very important issue for the State Department, Commerce Department to take up, to raise with other countries, to look at the origins of the challenge, most of which emanate from countries in Asia. And then perhaps, and I think Senator Whitehouse and I would agree on this, move forward on the idea of a treaty to really start to address it. Believe it or not, the ocean debris, ocean garbage, ocean pollution issue, which is such a threat to our country, but to the well-being and sustainability of our oceans. There's no major treaty on that at all, and we think that should change.
Well, Rhode Island is a renowned sailing capital. It used to be the home of the America's Cup, and it still has some of the great races come through Newport. So when we hear people who have done, for instance, the Round the World Volvo Ocean Race come into port in Newport and report that they had to learn a whole new kind of drill, they had to learn a keel clearing drill, because even in the faraway remote South Atlantic, their keels slicing through the water as they sailed in the race were picking up enough plastic garbage that it was affecting the performance of these very high-performance boats. Rhode Islanders are out every spring doing beach cleanups to get the plastic off the beaches. It's nothing like in Alaska, where one of Dan's witnesses said that there were places where there was as much as 3 tons per mile. of beach because, as Dan said, the source of most of this is upland garbage from Asian countries who don't have proper waste disposal systems, and it all ends up in the ocean and makes the Pacific worse. And Alaska reaches out in the Pacific and picks up a lot of that. So we have a real common cause here, but it's also a global thing because ultimately this plastic, when it breaks down small enough, can get eaten up by little tiny critters in the ocean food chain. And as those critters get eaten by other bigger ones and ultimately in the fish that we eat, we don't know what effect that has on the human body. This is new enough that we have to do that research and figure it out. So this is kind of a distant early warning thing for us as well across the country. Anybody who eats fish should care about this.
I think Senator Whitehouse just laid it out in very important terms. It's about the health of our oceans. It's also about the health of our fish stocks. And you know, in Alaska, we constitute almost 60% of all seafood harvested in the United States comes from Alaska's waters, and we have more coastline than the rest of the country combined. So it's a major impact, but it really gets to not only the health of humans, but the health of our seafood and fish species. And as Senator Whitehouse mentioned, we're not sure exactly how negatively this kind of garbage is impacting our fish, but it is, and we need to do something about it. So whether it's a healthy, sustainable fishery or just the broader health of the oceans, which so many Alaskans depend on, so many of our coastal communities depend on a healthy, sustainable ocean, this issue is key. And again, to me, the excitement is when you have a group of bipartisan senators from all kind of elements of the political spectrum who are motivated and united on addressing something like this, I think we can get a lot done. I've already had some discussions with some of our allies over in Europe, Norwegians, the minister from Iceland, who are all interested in following our lead. And I think we're going to keep putting pressure on the State Department to really not just kind of wave this off, but look at this as one of their major initiatives that we want them to undertake.
Well, I think one of the things that's been good about this has been the foundation set by the Senate Bipartisan Oceans Caucus. Dan is one of the 4 co-chairs of that, along with me, and it's enabled us to reach around the committee structure of the Senate and bring people together who care about oceans issues. So people from the Environment Public Works Committee, from the Commerce Committee, which does fisheries, or even from other countries, other committees that have no real ocean connection, can still be a part of this. And we're over 30 senators. We've already had a big success in dealing with pirate fishing, 4 treaties and enabling legislation that all passed unanimously in the Senate after a good deal of work, getting them all set up right. So the Oceans Caucus, in addition to our Environment Public Works Subcommittee, is also working very effectively.
And look, I want to again give a shout out to Senator Whitehouse on that. That was started in 2011, and he was the founding member. So you're seeing a theme here, someone who cares a lot about the oceans and is working.
Lisa Murkowski.
And Senator Murkowski, right. And is getting the rest of the Senate to be interested and focused on it. And, you know, that's when this institution, from my perspective, is working the best.
Perfect words to end on.